Welcome to this explainer. Look, chances are you're intimately familiar with the modern professional's absolute biggest struggle, right? That relentless, exhausting pursuit of work-life balance. I mean, we're constantly told to set boundaries, detach, and leave work at the office so we don't totally burn out. But what if that conventional wisdom is actually pointing us in the exact wrong direction? Today, we're taking a really fascinating journey alongside university teachers in Punjab, India. We're diving deep into the Punjab educator study, and trust me, it completely flips the script on how we find equilibrium in our lives. I want you to take just a second and think about your own professional life. When you're highly engaged, like when you really deeply care about your job, does it drain your personal life? And this is completely counterintuitive, does that deep connection actually act as a shield that saves it? We usually think of work and life as this giant seesaw, right? If one side goes up, the other has to come crashing down. But what if the seesaw is just a complete myth? We're going to explore whether finding a profound internal connection to your work is actually the hidden secret to thriving both in the office and at home. Okay, let's dive into this. The core concept driving all this research is something they call spirituality at work. Now hold on, before you start picturing, meditation cushions in the boardroom, let's clarify what the data actually means here. This is entirely distinct from religion. In the context of this study, spirituality at work is simply about finding purpose, acting with compassion, doing meaningful work, and feeling a real deep sense of joy and connection with your colleagues. It's basically about that inner positive energy you generate when your job truly resonates with who you are. To really give this concept the gravitas it deserves, the researchers actually framed their study with this incredible quote from the late, great former president of India, APJ Abdul Kalam. He said, "Spirituality must be integrated with education. We should ignite our dormant inner energy and let it guide our lives." And you have to wonder, could this dormant inner energy, especially when we activate it at work, actually be the missing variable in our whole modern work-life balance equation? Well, let's look at how the researchers hit the ground in Punjab to figure that out. To solve this mystery, they didn't just sit around debating theory. They went straight into the field for some hard quantitative data, surveying exactly 406 university teachers. And honestly, educators are literally the perfect protagonists for this kind of story. I mean, their work almost never ends when the bell rings. It takes massive emotional labor, late nights grading papers, endless prep, just immense dedication, which obviously makes teachers highly susceptible to work-family conflict. And they were super thorough. They didn't just stay in one little bubble. They traveled all across the major regions of Punjab, Majha, Malwa, and Doaba. They covered 6 major universities, including places like Guru Nanak Dev, Punjab University, and Chandigarh University. So they got this really rich mix of bustling public institutions and highly competitive private ones. This gave them a true, unfiltered look at the academic workforce and a super reliable snapshot of what these educators deal with every single day. Now, what's really interesting about the data is when we look at exactly who these teachers are, a massive 61% are between the ages of 26 and 35. It is a remarkably young workforce. And what the data revealed is that age is absolutely no bar for experiencing this deep, spiritual connection to the work. These young teachers reported being intensely passionate about their first big career roles. But on the flip side, the study also found that older teachers consistently exhibited better overall work-life balance. So it seems like experience really does teach you how to manage those boundaries, even when your passion for the job stays high. All right, then the researchers looked at marital status, and here is where another major clue drops. You'd probably assume that being single gives you more freedom, less stress at home, and just makes balance easier, right? Actually, no. The data showed the exact opposite. Married teachers reported a significantly higher spiritual connection to their work and a much better work-life balance compared to unmarried teachers. It turns out that structural and emotional support you get from a family unit, it actually translates into higher workplace spirituality, making it way easier to navigate the crazy demands of the job. And then we get to the financial side of things, which brings up this fascinating income paradox. When tracking how connected people felt to their work, researchers found super high levels of connection among folks earning between 2 and 5 lakh per year, which is likely driven by that pure enthusiasm of young academics we just talked about. But then there's this weird dip for the middle tier, earning 5 to 8 lakh. That's probably where the pressures of growing families and mid-career stress really start hitting hard. But then the connection skyrockets right back up to the absolute highest levels for the top earners, making above 8 lakh. So does more money actually buy better balance? The researchers went in assuming there might not be any real connection there at all, but the reality proved them totally wrong. They found a very clear, direct relationship. It's quite simple. As income goes up, overall work-life balance goes right along with it. Having greater financial resources literally gives these teachers the tangible means to alleviate stress, maybe outsource some tasks, and just better manage their personal lives no matter how intense their academic roles get. Environment is absolutely huge here too. The study compared teachers at public universities against those at private universities, and the public university teachers reported significantly better balance and a way higher spiritual connection to their workplace. Why is that? Well, the researchers point straight to institutional flexibility. The public institutions in this study just offered more support and flexible arrangements. Meanwhile, the private sector teachers reported facing way more pressure, stricter deadlines, and an environment that honestly just made finding that inner joy and balance a whole lot harder. Okay, which brings us to the absolute climax of our whole mystery here. Everything we've looked at so far, age, marriage, income, university type, it all sets the stage for one final massive question. Is there actually a measurable link between finding spiritual joy at work and finding peace at home? Going into it, the initial assumption was just that these two things operated totally independently of one another. The verdict, that assumption was completely shattered. The data proved a definitive, highly positive correlation. Teachers who experienced high levels of joy, purpose, and engagement in their work absolutely did not burn out at home. They actually reported a much higher level of work-life balance. Caring deeply about your job doesn't destroy your home life. According to this study, it actually enhances it. So how does this actually play out in the real world? Well, when these educators do meaningful work, it doesn't drain their batteries. It actually recharges them. It creates this internal reservoir of positive energy and joy. It builds mutual trust and a real sense of community. And that inner fulfillment directly reduces work-family conflict because these folks aren't coming home completely depleted and cynical. In fact, the researchers noted that the spiritual connection fosters higher emotional intelligence, which basically allows them to handle stress and transition between their work and personal roles with so much more grace. Which brings us right back to you. We've seen how the university teachers of Punjab prove that meaning and balance literally go hand in hand. So I'm going to leave you with this. How high is your own spiritual competence at your job? Are you actually finding purpose and positive energy in your daily tasks? Or are you just sort of punching the clock? If you're struggling with your life at home right now, the data strongly suggests the solution might not be to care less about your work, but to find work you can actually care about more deeply. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks a brand new way of looking at your own career.